All right, let's get ourselves set up here. Okay. All right. Let's let it roll here. What's up there, guys? How are you doing? Thanks for coming over here. This is one of those episodes you're not supposed to do. That's what they tell you, you know. We came out swinging on jumping out the car window, episode 4, some truth in the background. But part of that story, I think, leads into how I'm thinking now and how I've come out of, some darkness and started to want to carry the torch a little bit. And I think all day today, I woke up this morning, I had no ideas for the show. I'm, in the shower, I'm pacing back and forth, looking at myself. Like, what are you going to come up with here? I'm praying, God, give me a sign. And then I heard something, just come across on my phone. And I said, okay, because you get scared. Can you do better? Can you keep going? So I go, I'm outside, I do my morning prayer, and I'm there on the deck, and I'm looking up at the sky, and I'm saying, hey, Lord, help me have a sign here, guide me in certain directions. And just a lot of things just started happening out of the blue that don't make sense. Could be coincidence, but I think when you're paying attention and you're putting your energy out there, your vibration out there, you attract that vibration into you. So I think that's how we got here. So I really want to just say, screw it. Let's do it. We're going to tie some things in together that I think are affecting all of us. And I think it goes back to my last episode, affecting, me as a child, affecting families. And I think that, when I was younger, I didn't really have the belief in God. Of course, bad things are happening to you, but I think that's what the deceiver does. It tries to distance you from yourself, from your inner light. And, it's lucky that we made it here, thanks to my wife, my kids, something inside me, ambition, the will to win, that always part of me always wanted to do good and always kind to people. I'll do those things no matter what, I went through or people have done to me. I am by no means an angel. Heck, I think that's what makes the story better, So I don't know how I ended up here. I don't know where I got here, but here's the podcast, and we're going to take a shot here. So let me just start it like this. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. We're going biblical. So I think this is going to make some sense. So fear, picture yourself, you're a man, you're in the valley. And that valley, represents the depths. You're inside of the valley, you're down below and surrounded by these mountains and all that. And the mountains, seem so high that they cast that shadow down onto that valley. And that shadow is you straying from the light, and that's why they call it the shadow of death, because death is coming for you no matter what. And if they could keep you in the darkness and not let you see the light before you reach your death, I think that's the point of it. It's a trick, because the mountain in reality, if you step back and look at it, outside that mountain, inside that dark valley, it's surrounded by light. The sun's out there, it's shining. So if you could just realize that, over that journey to climb that mountain, there is the light. And I think, Socrates gets it good here. The allegory of the cave, you think the shadows on the wall are your whole reality. And I think it's so crazy how sometimes these texts just, mix together like that, but your reality is what you see. So they don't want you to see the light. So, and I think that, once you have some sort of, draw towards, goodness, righteousness, and you put your faith in God, he will be the rod and the staff. Now the rod is it's the weapon, It's if God is your rod, he's your weapon. He's meant to fight and fend back the monsters and the demons. And the staff, like a shepherd uses, is meant to like guide the sheep. If they're walking too close to a cliff, you pull them back. If there's a hole in the ground, or if they're making a wrong turn into a river where they're going to drown, the staff will guide them, and the rod is there to be a warrior, to be the strength, to be the weapon against lions and tigers and just the monsters in general. Metaphorically speaking. So the shadow, it darkens your vision in an attempt to blind you from the light. So once you're obtaining faith, the fear, this is the deception. The fear is the lie, because once you're set free, and it's so hard to comprehend this, like, because I'm scared doing this podcast. I was nervous wreck to start this. I'm scared that, so I get big or famous, or people start looking out. They come after your family. But I think that's what the devil wants. But somehow we got to, battle against the fear. We are not the perfect human. We're not the man who was thrown on the cross. That's who we brought with us today, by the way. But we got to try. And if you have, God truly in your heart and soul, he will guide you. He will guide you with the staff, protector. He's guiding you, and that's where I think you have to start switching your mind. So if you were going to be in the image of God, you're going to be a guider. You're going to be a shepherd, for your family and for your community. Hopefully, once you can expand outside of your little niche. And the crazy part is you got to practice that faith. You got to practice fighting that, not letting that fear in. And that, in a weird way, is like symbolic even for work life or like any endeavor you take on. Like imagine you're in a sales negotiation and you haven't practiced like overcoming like objections that people would say. You don't practice, so you can't rebuttal them. You have no confidence. I don't want to buy this because of such and such, and you don't have an answer. You stand there and you're ill prepared, and you'll lose that battle when you could have if you practiced, you could have put some information out there that could have helped you win. And get that sale. But when you're not practicing, you don't have confidence. And I think confidence here correlates to faith in a really, really, again, the way just these words line up with your everyday life, it's kind of wild. So the same goes for faith. If you don't practice it, no faith, you're training for a job, and the job of fatherhood, welding, training to be a man of God, training to be a realtor. Like if you're not practicing in your faith, you're not going to be good at it. And not being good at things is probably what stops 90% of people, 90% of men from going after their dreams and going to like improve themselves, because that mountain that's cast in the shadow in that valley seems so high. It's like it seems unsurmountable. Like how on earth can I climb Mount Everest to get out of this dark shadow of the mountain and break the pinnacle of this and be back into the light? How do I escape the cave? It's just crazy. So you practice at your job, you practice in your faith, and that's what's going to give you confidence. Faith, confidence. You've done it before. You've stood through it, and when you put yourself out there, for some reason you were protected. Just think of how far some of you watching this made it already. Bad situations you've been in, bad decisions, people coming after you, near death encounters, and you've made it already. You've got it. So that we're all going to meet our end, but hopefully it's after we raise good families and all that stuff. But you got to practice like you'd practice for your job. You practice for basketball. You practice for faith, man. And I think that's where it is. And it's crazy that it intertwines with reality like that. I mean, it's unbelievable. Just the more you get in depth and you can connect the dots between, the Bible and the Word of God, and really mix it into your life, you start to see some, parallels and connections and just wild things. Now, am I an expert by any means? No. And am I trying to be a preacher here today? No. But I think I do have to say something that I'm seeing. Maybe it's like therapeutic for me, but also maybe because I'm afraid to be by myself, that maybe I want to, recruit some more men into this world, because, how do we let the world and the system, turn us, from this, like dads, where did we go? Dads, where did we go? Half the kids I grew up with, the dad's not around. Where is he? He's gone. Mom's there. Is dad out drinking like my father was, or is dad just too scared to argue with his mother to show up? Or is dad, scared to, make a connection with his kid because he yelled at him one day? Or is the dad like, like, into his, hedonistic pleasures, he doesn't want responsibility. So just let mom take care of it, then she'll be there and I'll show up on his birthday and then wonder why he doesn't love me. Like, like, where did we lose this connection? Come on, gentlemen. Like, where did we lose this? And I think I could get there. I'm going to get there a little further. Yet you gotta go a little further down the line. So I think it was in me. I was a victim of this. I think it was in the generations prior. My father, my father's father, my great grandfather's grandfather. So the best way to put it is like, I was once blind and now I can see, and I'm sitting here like, what the fuck, man? Like, when you're blind and you're telling yourself, yeah, I see everything. It's like that statement people make. You'll understand when you get older and you're a kid and you go, yeah, sure, I understand now. And then you get older and you go, damn, they were right. I understand now that I'm older. But it's like, all of a sudden I was, whether it was marriage and my kids and like, seeing, having people depend on me, and then looking at the world around, like, because I didn't care if I lived or died at certain points. So there was nothing to like worry about. It was like, screw it. But then once I started realizing that people count on me and I got to protect the souls of my children, it's crazy. Because for a time, I was seemingly awake, but I lived like a zombie. Just walking around like, yeah, I'm animated and I'm moving around and I'm doing things, but I really truly wasn't awakened. It's kind of, the movie, it's like Night of the Living Dead, which makes so much more sense now because, the nighttime is the shadow, like the shadow in the valley. We're alive in the physical sense. Like, so they say they're living, but you're dead in your soul, man. You're dead inside, or at least you're not alive. At least you're not awakened. So you're not in the light and you're not in reality. So yeah, your body's moving around, your soul's trapped inside there, and you're bouncing around, but you're not really living. You're the living dead. You've already canceled yourself out. So what I think needs to go on is we're going to do another quote here. Proverbs 27:17, for some odd reason, 27:17 were my lucky numbers way back in the day, and 37. But it says that iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. I'm going to say it again. Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. So let's go, gentlemen. Let's sharpen each other. Let's get together. This is what this is for. I'm here. I'm that block of sand. I'm that leather strap. I'm trying to sharpen some of you guys up. Some of you guys have sharpened me up. The things that, the things people are saying, hey, do, a little bit of tips here, keep pushing forward, give me courage to keep going. That's why we're doing this episode right now. This is what happened. It's starting to really get a steamroller effect. And I know we're only on episode 5, but yeah, the steel sharpens steel, the iron sharpens iron. Let's sharpen each other, let's get that samurai mentality. This is what it's about, man. I'm running around scared for 35 years. Like, what? Like a zombie, just walking through life. I want to be successful. Yeah, I got dreams, but I'm not going to do nothing to them. I hope they just land on my lap, I hope a woman wants to marry me. I hope kids show up. I hope I can take care of them. Like, whoa, that was me, man. And I know all my peers around me were the same way. And even some of them had kids and were just like, yeah. A lot of my buddies, like, I'd be like, yo, where's your kid? Oh, I haven't seen him in 7 years. Oh, it's the wife. She's yelling at me. The ex is this. I'm like, I don't see you putting any effort. You know what I mean? And I, I'm friends with you, but I'm kind of also like sad, man. Like a little, you feel a little disgusted. Like, dude, that's your offspring. And these are the same people that would be like complaining about their lives, like, oh, this and that. And even the ones that didn't complain because, it just wasn't cool to bitch and moan. You could see it in their face that they knew they were doing wrong, but the quicker they could brush the idea out of their mind and put it under the rug and move on to having a beer and a line or something, that's what they would do. And I was like, damn, if I had a kid, especially from my childhood, I was like, I wouldn't do that. And thank God that I was strong enough to do what I'm doing now with my children. I didn't have the guy. Where was the man to sharpen me? Where was the guy to sharpen me? Where was my iron sharpening iron? I didn't have that guy around. I didn't have the too many I had other, like I said, the early other father figures and stuff, but they got busy lives. They got their little house to take care of. How much time they going to spend sharpening me with their kids dull and they're trying to sharpen him with the little time they got, and they're also scared that if they make a mistake, you're going to make mistakes, man. I know may look all dandy with my children, but I know I make mistakes. I yell sometimes, and like other times, like. I let them go when they should get yelled at. You don't have a book here, but all I do is got faith that I'm doing the right thing as much of the time as I can. But this is the trick, man. This is what's dividing us. This is am I doing the right thing? Am I not? And then it tends back to become inaction on men's parts mostly, and other people's parts, inaction. So, it's how they break up the families and they divide us from each other. Like, you can't even be close to your parents, you can't be close to your brother and sister. That's what it is. Like, my dad leaves me, don't teach me nothing. Next I leave my kids, and so on. And the devil deceivers, it's slow generational erosion. Slowly takes us further and further down into that valley in the shadow of death, because it just doesn't want us to live. It's not that it's really focused on the full death per se, but it doesn't want you to live. And I think that is related to the quote, there's nothing more, there's nothing worse in the world than wasted talent. And I think that's what, the devil's trying to do, is keep us in that valley, not fully dead, not fully alive, but just wasting our talent, wasting our lives while we're there. And if the devil slowly takes our vision of the light and he leaves us walking in the valley of darkness, and we forget the light of the Most High. The valley is dark, it's low, hell, low frequency, Most High, God, the anointed, the star, the sun, the one above, you know what I mean? It's the opposite of the valley. So then we become blind to our own actions, because we need the light to see. We walk around with two closed eyes. The devil then becomes the one-eyed king. If we're all eyes shut, we ain't seeing nothing, he becomes the one-eyed king. And in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. He's the only, he can't see all, but he's missing an eye, but he's the only one that could see, so he's in control. And I say, nah, not no more, gentlemen. Not no more. Let's bring some light back. Let's bring some vision. When two pieces of iron, are used to sharpen, they make a spark. Two things banging together, they make a spark. And all we need, man, is a little bit of a spark. And this is going to start bringing the light. We notice the light again. That spark is the first acknowledgement of light. We've been in dark so long we can't see it, but we're going to sharpen each other. We're going to be that light. That we're going to bang, bang, scraping together. That scraping is going to cause that first spark. Now we start to recognize light again. And this is a risk like I'm taking to do this episode. And it's like, who the hell am I to start talking? I was scared to death to make the episode. I was scared to death for 10 years to start the podcast. I was scared to death to commit to a woman. I was scared to death to tell people I believed in God. I was there. But it's like, if not me, then who? I know there's other people out there talking, but, more voices, the better. It becomes a choir. Let's start singing, And just to quote another thing out of the Bible, Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. So my interpretation of that is the right hand is the sword. Righteous, right hand. Let God become the weapon. Let God become the weapon that you wield with your right hand. So just think of all the things that are right, rightfully so. Do it the right way. Is the answer right? You'll know right away if you have the right of way. So my right hand man, write it down because you have the right to. Keep moving it right. Keep making it right until you're the last one left. Till you're left alone, left to die, left in the dark, left behind, left to fend for yourself, left in the dust. That's a good one because when God made man, he formed dust and that's where he breathed the life into him. That's a good one there. You're left out in the cold. You're left-handed compliments. You got 2 left feet. You're out in left field, left to your own devices. You're left holding the bag. You're left hanging until you're left at the altar. So what are we doing, guys? Huh? I was garbage. I was left on the curb, left on the curb as I leaped out that car window. And the only thing left now to do is right the ship. So you can see the 2 balances of the 2 sides. What's left, that's this. But that's why it's the right hand of God. You make the right moves. You got the right stuff. It's happening right now. This is what's going on. So if each of us, starts making dents, we can have a little bit more light and a little bit more warmth, which is, what's the impact of that? What's the impact on families? What's the impact on our community? What's the impact on world wars? What's the impact in suffering? How much less does it get? Is there, an equation? Is there a variable? Is it like an acceleration graph? We just start getting enough and then it really starts to peak and go off. What does it leave us? Does it give us better kids? Does it give us, more love? Does it give us, less misery? What does it do if we live the right way? What are we doing? I mean, I don't have the answers here, but I'm taking a shot. This is the episode I'm not supposed to do, So, we can do this, start with your heart, mine was selfish, mine was shallow, mine was dark, but it's a fight. Let's sharpen the steel. It was like, God gave me a sign today. And I was telling you earlier in the beginning of the podcast, it's so funny. I'm like, I just need something. And a lot of the times my kids' schoolwork's like, up on the fridge. And, at 6:30, I'm getting ready to go downstairs to work out. And I look on the fridge with a magnet, and he's got one of his, dittos or paperwork things up there. And it says, it could never happen. And then it's got 4 words underneath it. I'm going to show it to you here. So you see here, this is the actual picture of the thing on the refrigerator. And it says, action, hero, mood, problem. And that really just was like, bang, I get it. That's everything I was thinking about prior. We have to take action. They said it could never happen. It'll never happen if you tell yourself it'll never happen. If you tell yourself it will happen, you will make the change. You will be a good dad. You will be a good husband. You will be successful in your career. You will work harder. You will wake up. Those things will all happen. You can talk about it all you want. You get moving. You get walking through that valley of the shadow of death. You start walking up that mountain. Now, it's not easy. It was even hard for me, being 350 pounds, 360 pounds, like, tired constantly, embarrassed of yourself, shamed, like looking at yourself, like stretch marks ripping out the side of my body, my back hurting, you just know as a man. I knew then because I was, I was in better shape when I was younger. I could scuffle. But it got to a point where, like, that confidence I had at 25 is not in this 38, 39-year-old, 40-year-old's body. I'm, logical enough to say, you're a fat bastard. And you just became on the lower end of the spectrum of a lot better men that could end you. And if they could end me, they can get after my family. And that's not what I wanted. So that was kind of like, I was like, that's it. So it's like, It can never happen. Yes, it can happen. I was like, yes, it will. I need to take action. The actions you take towards God, the action of faith, the action of prayer, the action of practicing to build your confidence, those are the things. You got to become the hero in your own story. Become the hero to your wife, become the hero to your children, become the hero at your job. And the hero story is only great because the hero gets his ass kicked and he comes back and wins. If the hero just won all the time, it'd be lopsided. You got to have the fight. That's what puts the value into it. You got to become the hero, go through the darkness, climb the mountain out of the valley of the shadow of death. And that first way to do all this stuff is to realize the mood you're in. So change your mood. I'm sad? No. Now I'm happy. My mood is, I'm depressed? No, I'm not. I'm joyful. My mood is, insecurity. I can't do it. Nope. Now it's confidence. I'm doing this. My mood is fearful. No, I'm going to be brave now. Change the mood, and the mood will change everything else around your life. The people's around you, their moods will change. The moods of your children will change. And if you don't see the problem is you, and the problem is fear, and the problem is the insecurity that's in your mood, then you can't fix the problem. So the only way to start fixing the problems is to take action, realize you got to become the hero, change the mood, fix the problem. And that's what it said on my son's board today, right there on the refrigerator, staring right at it. Like the sign came. Like, boom, the light shed. God was like, you wanted this sign, you wanted that sign, you asked for it. Here's the last one from your son on the wall. Just a set of random words. What are the chances? Just so odd. There's been so many friggin' dittos on that thing. There's carrots and there's a pumpkin missing an eye. But today there's these words and they're said it could never happen. And that's the devil telling you it could never happen. So that's the first trick. They tried tricking me with the sign, and then God overpowered the sign and was like, nah, you got to inverse it. It's the inverse. It's not the devil. It's the great deceiver. He tricks you. So we wanted to really go out on the limb here on this podcast, man. And ever since coming from last show, we're going to have some purpose here. So I think, this week's purpose is to just start a little bit of bringing some thought into the men around us, into the guys that have to lead their families, lead these jobs, lead the crews that put the lights on outside, lead their way into the fire to stop the city from burning down, that lead us to safety if there's a flood coming, even small things. Just lead your children to bed if the lights are out so they don't fall down the stairs. It can start anywhere. Start small. Take a baby step. You know what I mean? Like, even this morning, like with my wife, like, I've been like thinking like, how much better can I be? Because sometimes with work stress, we end up not seeing each other and you end up getting to bickering about dumb things. And I was like, I could sit here and fight about it all day. But you know what? Her typical thing in the morning while I'm getting ready for work, she's getting like bottles and food ready for the baby. So before I went to the gym, I said, you know what? I'm gonna make this ready for her. I'm gonna put this away. I'm gonna do this. Just a couple little things to start. Not that I need to be patted on the back, and not that I'm looking for praise, but the only thing that would make me feel better, I think, is knowing that her day was a little bit easier. And it gave her just a little bit more time, 20 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes for her to, approach whatever else she's got to take on during the day with her kids, because they're nuts. They're a blast, but they're nuts. And that's the kind of thinking, I want to have. Like, I want to be able to do it all. And that's probably one of the hardest parts to balance is I wish I had more time. Most of the time, I want more time to work and earn for my family. I want more time to do this podcast. I want more time with my kids. I want more time with my wife. But I guess you got to sacrifice unknowingly. Walking through that valley of the shadow of death, you got to sacrifice unknowingly with God by your side, and hopefully you're making the right decisions to balance it out. So before we go right now, I want to say I love you. Get up, men. Get your families in order. Go hug your kids. Work harder at your job. Take care of business. Shit's going to hit the fan. It's not easy for me. My life ain't perfect. It might look a little bit better than it was, but we still got struggles. But that doesn't matter. Stay the course, right the ship. All right. I love you guys, man. Let's go get everybody to get up there, subscribe to this podcast, and maybe next week we'll have a little fun. Maybe we'll tell some stories about blowing guys up with kerosene cans or something. But let's really get out there. I love you guys. Go home, hug your kids. Say thanks to your boss. Put an extra hour in. Reading to your daughter or something, or just sitting there playing cards with them, whatever. Look at your wife with a smiling eye and tell her you love her. But let's get something started. Just a small spark to bring a little bit more light to this. This is the PMoon podcast. Let's go, episode 5. We're halfway to 10. We're going to 1 million. Let's rock and roll, baby. Thank you. This is what we're talking about. Episode 5. 555. 555. All right? Let's go, baby. Episode 5. Keep it moving. Peace.